Hello friends, today we are going to start a new chapter of geography which is urbanization. So urbanization basically means what? Urbanization is a process. Urbanization is a process in which towns and cities grow because uh, in the past years people were more interested and related in the agricultural sector, but after the industrial revolution people started coming and migrating in the towns, and they started settling down in the towns because of the factories and employment in the towns and cities rather than the rural areas. So that is how the process of urbanization started. So basically urbanization is a process by which towns and cities grow. It is marked by a gradual increase in the proportion of people living in urban areas as compared to rural areas. Means in the past, people were more settling down and people were more living in the rural areas, and then after the industrial revolution people started coming down and settling in the urban areas because there were factories and more employment opportunities than the rural areas. So urbanization the is a process, and it basically is marked by a gradual increase in the proportion of the people who are living in the urban areas as compared to the rural areas. And as today we see that more than half of the world's population lives in towns or cities. Means every second person on in this world live in towns or cities rather than rural areas. So, the first major spurt in urbanization occurs in the 18th century when, as a result of the Industrial Revolution, many workers began to migrate from rural areas to urban centers in search of employment in factories. With the further development of industries, technology, housing, and transportation, more people began living in urban areas, causing the cities to expand. At present, around 54% of the world's population lives in urban areas, and this proportion is expected to increase to 66% by 2050. That means that basically this urbanization, the process of urbanization started, and there was a major spurt in the urbanization process after the 18th century when there were more discoveries in the industrial sector in the European countries, and then when the technology and the housing, transportation, medical facilities started developing, so the areas which were more developed are considered to be urbanized because of their high population, because obviously the area which will be highly populated will be much employed and will be much facilitated, will be much of facilities. So that is why it is considered to be an urbanized area. And the process how the people started migrating from the rural areas to the urban areas, that process is known as urbanization. Now in today's world, as we see that at present 54% of the world's population is living in the urban areas only, and it is accepted that till 2050 66% of the world population will live in towns or cities, or I can say that will be urbanized. Now the causes of urbanization, that what are the basic causes why the urbanization occurs. So there are many causes of urbanization, like there are many factors that encourage the movement of people from rural to urban areas, obviously. So let's see what are the factors, what are the causes. So the main ones are listed below. See, so the increasing use of machines for agricultural processes like plowing, sowing, harvesting, and threshing has left many agricultural workers jobless. These people move to towns and cities to work in factories as unskilled or semi skilled laborers. So, as in the rural areas, there are not much developed facilities present like nowadays, though it is increasing, the facilities are more getting improved in as well as in the rural and urban areas. But if we see that the main causes, so why we see an area urbanized, because obviously there is more facilities, that is why. So the first reason that why urbanization occurs is that the increasing use of machines. Okay, so the increasing use of machines for agricultural processes like plowing, sowing, harvesting, and threshing has left many agricultural workers jobless. Okay, so like the machines are taking place of the human beings, and that is why the works which was done by human beings are done now by the machines. So that is why many workers are left jobless, and that is why they are trying to shift towards the town or cities so that they could work in the factories as unskilled workers, so that they or semi skilled workers, that they are not that much well skilled, but they can work in the factories for few works, or few works done in the factories. Now the second thing is displaced by machines. Skilled craftsmen like weavers, blacksmiths, and carpenters are also moving to urban centers in search of better opportunities. Here their skills are absorbed by emerging industries and factories. So the same point is this, because of the displacement by the machines, the skilled craftsmen like weavers are there, blacksmiths are there, or carpenters are there, are also moving to urban centers. Why? Because in search of employment, in search of opportunities, job opportunities, in search of better job opportunities. Because if they are skilled, they will not work in the very low salary. Obviously they will try to take or grab a better opportunity than they are having. So here the skills are observed. So whatever skills of the workers are there, that is observed, and by emerging industries and factories, and whoever is capable, they are taken as workers and they get employment in the towns and cities. And that is why also migration takes place and urbanization causes, because people started migrating from the from the rural to urban areas. And that is why people, as the population increases, the demand increases, so the facilities are more provided in the urban areas than the rural areas. People living in urban areas have better access to facilities like piped drinking water, electricity, and efficient system of transport and communication. Obviously better facilities are provided in the urban areas, and that is why, because of that reasons also, people migrate from rural to urban area. Medical facilities are usually more advanced and easily accessible in urban areas, and that is the reason, like as the medical facilities is good, so the people starts migrating from rural area to urban area to take the better medical or better educational facilities in the urban area. And that is the reason also they migrate. The distribution of goods and services and opportunities for trade and commercial transactions are better in cities than in rural areas. So if they want to trade, if they want to do commercial transactions, that is also better present in the urban areas than the rural areas. And that is also one of the reason why people migrate and why the urbanization occurs. Then the another reason is that opportunities and facilities for education is obviously better in the rural areas. However nowadays, in urban areas, but however nowadays rural areas are also getting as much good facilities, but then also a little difference is still now present. That's why people migrate due to better educational facilities. Next is employment opportunities are also greater in urban centers than in rural centers. So as there is more facilities, as there are more industries, factories, so obviously employment opportunities are more in urban areas than the rural areas, and that is one of the reason why people migrate. Then is thus one of the main causes for urbanization is the increasing need felt by the people living in rural areas to take advantage of the opportunities, facilities, and better standard of living found in urban areas. So as better standard of living is found in urban areas, that is a very big reason why people migrate from rural to urban area. So now, as we have learned the causes of urbanization, now comes the impact. Because as the urbanization is increasing day by day, so what are the impacts that the people will feel after after the urbanization, or what are the impacts of urbanization that we are going to see? So see, there are both positive impacts and there are negative impacts also. So the positive impacts for urbanization are: when urbanization takes place in a planned and efficient manner, it has a positive impact on the lives of people and the development of a country. Obviously, if people will migrate towards the urban areas and will be engaged in some or the other works, then the development of the country will increase. The country will get economically better, and that is one of the main reason and the positive impact of urbanization. So the urban areas make efficient use of resources. For example, multi-story apartment buildings on small tracts of land accommodate a large number of people. Means of public transport like the metro, rail, and buses help save fuel and energy by transporting millions of people in a day. So what are the positive impacts are that the positive impacts of urbanization are that, see, the urban areas make efficient use of resources. So like the people make efficient use of the resources which they have in the urban areas. For example, the multi-story apartment which are built in the urban areas can accommodate large number of people than single houses. So that is one of the reasons that whatever land they have in the urban areas, they can accommodate more people there. Then the second is that means of public transport is also there. So like means of public transport is like metro, rail, and buses, so which help to save fuels and energy by transporting millions of people in a day through one single amount of fuel, which is useful and which is also good for the environment. Then second is urban areas offer better employment opportunities, so they thus give people a chance to improve their standard of living and enjoy a better quality of life. So urban areas like have more employment opportunities because of the developed facilities and all. So that is the reason the people by getting economically balanced, they could improve their standard of living and enjoy a quite better standard of living in the urban areas. That is why that is also a good impact of urbanization, because more and more people will be there in the urban areas, and they will get better facilities. Then better access to educational and training facilities in cities created a skilled workforce. So if more people will get education, if more people will get training facilities, obviously there will be a great positive impact on the development of the country. Then, as centers of commercial activities, urban areas play an important role in economic development. So, because the centers of commercial activity, urban areas are a center of much more commercial activity, and that is why it plays a very important role in the economic development of the urban areas. Next is people living in cities are exposed to a variety of culture, because in urban areas lots of people of different cultures stay. So people are more exposed to different cultures, and this usually make a person broad minded and tolerant than people living in rural areas, because they have a broad minded thinking and they are more tolerant towards every religion than the people living in rural areas. Next are the negative impacts of urbanization. So few are the positive impacts which directly or indirectly benefits the country, and that is why urbanization is good somehow. But there are few negative impacts of urbanization also. Let's see what are the impacts. However, whenever urbanization takes place in an unplanned and uncontrolled manner, so there is a condition also. Positive impacts of urbanization can be seen if the urbanization is planned and is taking place in an efficient manner. But the negative urbanization could take place if the urbanization is unplanned and in an uncontrolled manner. It has a negative aspects and negative impacts also. As more and more people move into cities, there is more pressure on the limited land available. The cost of housing thus increases, forcing many people, i.e., in cramped spaces with minimal facilities. Lack of affordable houses leads to the growth of settlements with very poor living conditions called slums. So what happens actually is, as more and more people are getting shifted to the urban areas and the land is limited, so there is more pressure on the available land. So that is why if the demand is more, what will happen? The cost will increase. So as there is lots of demand for the housing, first of all the cost of housing will increase, and that will create slum areas, and people will not get that much facility and that much comfort, because the space will get lesser and the cost will increase, and the people who could not afford that much costly houses to that people will start living in slums, and that is a very poor living condition which is known as slums. Then the high density of population in urban areas leads to an increase in the demand and consumption of resources like water and power, which in turns lead to scarcity. So as there is high density of population, what will happen is area leads to an increase in the demand and consumption, because there is more population, so people will consume, and as the population is increasing, the consumption of resources will increase, and which will cause scarcity or increase in price. So there are many resources like water and power which could be which could have a scarcity in that case, and that time the cost will increase, or else people will not get that much resources of that particular or thing. Overpopulation in urban areas makes the job market more competitive, leading to an increase in unemployment. It also puts a strain on law enforcement system, resulting in higher crime rates. So what will happen, that overpopulation which will happen in urban areas, what will it do? It will make the job market more competitive, because more people are going to sit for the particular exam or for the particular job, and that is why the competition will increase, and as the competition will increase, only the most capable person will be selected, and further many people will not be selected, and that is why it will cause unemployment, and that is why it also puts a strain on the law enforcement system, which will result in higher crime rates. Then is roads become more congested, leading to higher commute times and increased levels of stress. So what will happen, as more people are there, so the road will be jammed, and it will cause many problems in on the roads, like pollution will also increase, and that is how what will happen, it will commute time, and uh, it will increase the stress levels as well. Then the next negative impact is, an urban area expand, they encroach upon surrounding land, often leading to the loss of forested areas and agricultural land, which will cause a loss or which will cause a lot of impact on the environment. And that is why we are getting and that is why we are seeing the changes in the environment or the climate change nowadays. The monsoon pattern is getting changed, the climate of a particular region is getting changed. A very big factor is urbanization also, because due to urbanization the surrounding lands lead to encroach as the urban areas expand, and that is why to accommodate the large population, often we have to cut trees, and that will cause a loss of the forested areas and agricultural land, and that is a impact which will create an impact on the environment. Then the concentration of so many human activities within the cities causes high levels of air and noise pollution. So as there are lots of people living in a particular area, and that is why there will be more human activities, so that is why there will be a high level of air pollution as well as noise pollution. And the last point is, as a result of the large number of people living there, cities generate huge amounts of waste. So as more people are living, waste from each home will be more, and that is why the untreated sewage will usually flow in the nearby water bodies, and which will cause a large quantity garbage dumped in the landfill, causing water and land pollution. And plastic is being a very big factor for the land pollution as well as the water pollution. And urbanization is also a very big cause for the pollution of land and water. Then what are the ways, okay, what are the ways to reduce the negative impact? Because we know that these are the negative impacts of urbanization. What can we do is, we can reduce the impact. How we can reduce, let's see. So reducing the push factors of rural urban migration is one of the major causes of urbanization. Some way to reduce this include, so see, if we will give the same facilities of the urban area to a rural area as well, or we can say that we can give much better we can give facilities in the rural area as well. So why people will migrate to the urban area? If there will be employment opportunity, if there will be employment opportunities in the rural areas as well, then why people will migrate to the urban area? Then that is a cause. And that is why, to reduce the push factors of rural urban migration, there are some factors which we can do. Is first is, opportunities for employment and education should be created in rural areas as well. Because of, so if there will be educational facilities and opportunities for employment in rural areas also, people will not migrate in urban areas because of that reason, because of education or employment. So that is one factor we can do, because if the population density will be distributed both in the rural and urban areas, and there will be not pressure in a particular area for to accommodate a large number of people, it will be much better, and one area people could enjoy a much comfortable and better standard of life. So that is why we can give the educational and employment opportunities both in the rural and urban areas. Second is, rural areas must be equipped with basic amenities such as electricity, sanitation, basic medical care, and access to clean water. So like basic necessity of the life, the electricity, the sanitation facilities, basic medical cares, and clean water should also be provided in the rural areas, so that people will get these basic facilities there, and they will not migrate because of these reasons to the urban areas. And the third point is setting up industries in rural areas can help the development of those areas and create employment. So if industries will be set up in rural areas always, or in rural areas also, so there will be mass production. That is also a very good factor, and it will help the development of those areas and create employment in those areas as well, so that people will not migrate much for the employment opportunities in the urban areas.